Hello and welcome to Boxing in Your Face. My name is Joe Cortez, international boxing referee from Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world. Today we have none other than Benji Estevez, world-renowned boxing referee from New Jersey. And Benji, welcome to the show. Benji, can you tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, a lot of fans have been watching you for many years as a referee. They see how cool, calm, and collected you are in the ring. You do a very outstanding job. I mean, your heart is really in the sport of boxing. Can you tell us how many years you've been refereeing now?
I started working in 1982 as an amateur, and then in 92 I became a professional. And as far as my background, my uncle was a professional boxer, Victor Melendez, who I'm sure you and your family is familiar with. And I kind of grew up around there. And I had my brother and two cousins that used to box amateurs, nothing major, but in the Spanish and Golden Gloves. So I kind of grew up around it.
Great, great. Yeah, Victor Melendez was a great amateur fighter coming out of Puerto Rico back in the early 60s. And when he turned pro, he ended up fighting my brother Mike Cortez twice in Madison Square Garden. One was an 8-round draw, I believe, and the other one was a 10-round victory for Melendez. And that's how we got to know Victor Melendez was an outstanding fighter himself and doing very well today, I understand, as your uncle, right?
Yeah, he's a good man. He's grandpa, and he's loved. He's loved by a lot of people, and I'm glad that you still remember, and that's an honor for me to
great.
remember that.
Great, great. Well, as a referee, now you referee some of the major fights of the last decade, so give me some of the names of the big name fighters that you referee.
Some of the fighters that I've done is Hopkins. I've done a couple of Hopkins matches. Cotto, I've done two of his fights. Juan Manuel Lopez, Gamboa, just to name a few.
Great, great, great. Well, you know, being a referee, people know that sometimes we're a target because you can't please all the fans all of the time, and sometimes some decisions that we render happen to be very unpopular decisions for whatever reason, but we follow the rules to a T, and some of the fans don't really know too much about the Association of Boxing Commissions, the ABC rules, and those are unified rules that we have to apply at certain times of a fight. And again, some of the fans don't understand, so we disqualify a fighter, especially hitting the fighter gets hit while he's down. You disqualify him. Well, they say, well, why do you have to disqualify? He wasn't hurt that bad, but we have to abide by the rules, especially when a doctor tells an official to stop a contest. Now, you've been in some fights where fighters have been sometimes out of line for whatever reason. How many fighters have you disqualified in your career?
It's funny you should ask that question, because I just disqualified my first fighter, in the pros anyway, and it was a strange feeling because.
What was this?
This was over in
when?
This was last weekend.
Oh, last week. Look at that.
Last week, and it was a funny feeling. But you know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I usually try to let the fighters work it out, and just try to go to the corner after the rounds to let them know that they're doing something out of the norm. But this individual, I don't want to name him. It's not fair. But he tested me, and unfortunately, I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
I gave him chances, took a few points. I built up my case, and then when I had to do the verdict, I had to do what I had to do.
Were you ever a law enforcement guy? You sound like an attorney or something.
No. I was a process server for 15 years.
Oh, really?
So I was around them for a lot, but no.
Okay, well, you know, Benji, in boxing, you know, you got to have thick skin in order for you to make it through, because like I said before, we're always a target. You're not going to please the fans all the time. So some of the times they're going to love you, some of the times they're going to hate you. So, but you got to do your job as a referee, and we all have to take our stand and stand up. We can't look the other way when a foul is committed. We can't just let them get away with it. It's like any other sport. If you watch football, basketball, baseball, I mean, you got baseball players just say the wrong thing to the umpire, you're out of there. There's no warnings or nothing. In the first call, you're out. And the penalties are involved with basketball and football. I mean, the umpires or referees cannot look the other way, and there's no difference in our sport. You know, we have to make the call, and I mean, I believe there's a lot of leniency in boxing, because you can stop and if you can just say, well, he hit him low, but maybe it was accidental, so you give him a warning. Any other sport, it's a penalty right on the spot. There are no warnings. So, but after 3 consecutive warnings, or 3 consecutive times that you've taken a point, you have to disqualify a fighter. And this game, this boxing sport is not a sport that is easy to officiate, because different rules applies in different jurisdictions, and let's say like accidental headbutts in boxing is after 4 completed rounds, you go to the scorecard. Prior to that, if the fight is cut, you go to the scorecard. Prior to that, it's a no contest, and other sanctioning, some sanctioning bodies, if a fighter is cut, whether it's accidental or what, the fighter who's uncut gets penalized a point.
That's true. That's the case sometimes. It all depends on intentional.
But but even if it's I'll say right out, it's WBC. WBC has a ruling. They cannot apply that rule here in the United States, because we go here with unified rules. But when they go abroad to other countries, if a fighter is cut, if it's an accidental headbutt, the fighter who's uncut loses a point. You see, and that's something that I think has to really be looked at. I respect Jose Sulaiman very much. He's been great for boxing, and he looks out for the welfare of the fighter. But his belief is that a fighter who's uncut, the fighter who's cut is at a disadvantage. Therefore, the fighter who's uncut should get a point deduction. And that's questionable as far as I'm concerned. We can discuss that for 100 years, and it can go one way or the other. And again, that's something that I will have to really think about a lot for me to apply that rule. But I think that WBC has done a great job in boxing. IBF, WBA, WBO, they all do great jobs. Just little things like that, though, that I think it leaves the fans a little bad taste in their mouth in reference to those type of rules. That's why we have unified rules here in the United States. We apply those rules. That accidental headbutt situation does not apply here in the United States. But I think that boxing has really gone a long ways, and they've done a lot of changes in boxing, where for the safety of the fighters, where they've cut down from 15 rounds to 12 rounds. Years ago, over 25 years ago, we used to have 50-round fights, if you guys well know. But also the taking away the scoring from the referee. What do you think about that?
Well, personally, when I came in, they didn't have it, so I can't really say what impact it would have on me. But we have so much to do as referees that I think I don't have a problem with it. I would like just to be able to just do my job and let the judges do theirs. Yeah,
well, I think that the WBC, when they came out with that ruling of cutting down from 50 rounds to 12 rounds and taking the duties of a referee from scoring the fight, I think that was a good move for the simple reason. I did both. I was already doing major fights when the ruling came in that we have to have a third judge. There should be 2 judges and the referee to score. Now they're bringing a third judge and the referee does not score. And I think it's good because we're looking out for the safety of the fighters, and we can concentrate more on the safety of the fighters and enforcing the rules. Before we had to enforce the rules, watch out for the safety of the fighters, and keep score of the fight. And that was a lot. It was a little difficult for some officials to do. Some of us, it was easy. I had no problems with it, but I think for the betterment of the sport, for the safety of the fighters, I think WBC came up with a good ruling, and I got to applaud Mr. Sulaiman for that. And I agree. And I think that boxing is really raised the bar as far as safety is concerned, with all the seminars given around the world, medical doctors coming in and teaching. Now, you as a referee, that you have some proteges that you work with and seminars that you attend. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have. I'm based out of New Jersey, but I have some guys that I'm working with, both in New York and New Jersey. A gentleman named Mickey Vera, I've worked with him. Sade Murdoch, I'm also working with Ricky Gonzalez. Anyone that's willing to listen and wants to step up their game, I help. And I asked them that when they coming back and thank me and stuff like that, I told them, you want to thank me, just pass it on. When someone comes to you, just pass it on. This way, we share the knowledge, and we can all become better officials. They all have their certain style, because you can, styles is like fighters. They all have their own style. But as long as they have recognition of the rules, you stay fit and do the right thing. Or at least try to, because sometimes even when you try to do the right thing, it doesn't work out for you. That's all I ask.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing about boxing, it's like a small little knit family, and we all try to help one another out, and especially when some decisions are rendered sometimes by an official, we like to call them up and give them support, which is something that we very much need, because you get the media today with the internet. There's so much out there. Where years ago you just read a little article and it was over. Now with the modern day technology, you have the internet, and there's so many websites out there where sports writers that talk, and a lot of sports writers are freelance sports writers, and some, unfortunately, some of them really knock some of the officials pretty bad without them themselves knowing the rules, and they crucify you. And what's bad about it is that it stays there on the internet. People think that sometimes we're incompetent, but sometimes it's some of the writers that and reporters out there that are not putting in the story the way it is, and that's why we have this website that we're doing ourselves, is to try to educate the public in reference to our duties as referees, which is not easy. And I think that boxing, I've always said, has its peaks and valleys. I think boxing is on the way up again with the latest fights. In the last couple of months, we had some great, outstanding fights. Hopkins winning the light heavyweight championship at the age of 46. You got Pacquiao, who's been beating everyone that he has faced in the last 7 or 8 fights. Very outstanding fighter. There's so many fighters out there. Mayweather's another great fighter. I mean, you have a lot of good fighters out there. And us as referees, you know, we just say there's a lot of great fighters. 99% of the fighters that are out there are very dedicated to the sport. They really work hard. They want to achieve their goals. And I say any fighter out there that wants to make it to the top got to work very hard, just like us as referees. If we want to make it to the top, you got to be a student of the sport, learn it the best you can, strive to be the best, and always try to embrace your colleagues and your mentors who are trying to help you to become better officials. And that's what we need a little bit more of. And I think that Benji has learned to do that. I think Tony Weeds, Kenny Bayless, Russell Mora, Mike Ortega, Mark Nelson. These are all top-notch referees that we've been working with, and it's like a little family. But we see each other, it's like everybody getting together. You know, Benji is, like I said, one of the top referees in the world today, and we have to applaud you for your work and continue your success. And hopefully we'll see you back here in Las Vegas. Now, talking about Las Vegas, here's Las Vegas now for the IBF convention. And what are you going to get out of this IBF convention before we say goodbye?
Well, basically, you know, they have medical symposiums, they have official symposiums, and you get a chance to meet people around the world that have different ideas and different aspects of how they officiate. And this is what's good about this. You get a flavor from everyone else, and you can share ideas and stories, and basic training here. And then you go back home and you teach it to the officials that were not able to come out here, pass it on.
Exactly. Well, that's why it's important to attend some of these seminars. They go to the sanctioning bodies, conventions, and it's really open to anybody who wishes to pay the registration fee, because we got some amateur officials that attend the conventions. There's very few that attend on the amateur level, because they're thinking about going pro. So if you want to learn something, this is a place to get your face seen, and to also that's when they realize that you are serious. And when you do apply, if you're amateur, you do apply for the professional ranks to become a professional referee. That's a good place to start, to learn the basics and see what goes on with professional referees, and you get to meet them and you get to see how everybody carries themselves. And as referees, we have to carry ourselves professionally, not only inside the ring but outside the ring as well, because you know, as you well know, that we're under the microscope at all times, and it's important that we carry ourselves like professionals, because like I tell the fans out there and my friends, I'm fair but I'm firm, and that's because I really am. I'm fair with everybody. I'm fair with the fighters, and I really take my job very seriously. And I think all the officials have taken note of that throughout the years as a referee that I've been for 34 years. I try to be as fair as possible, but when I have to take action, I'm firm. So guys, with that said, good luck. We'll see you next week. Benji, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Okay, pal. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good job.